Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the live stream of Keto Bob Griggs, where you learn about keto. Tune in every Thursday night at 7 o'clock Central Standard Time. Now let's get on with tonight's episode. Welcome to episode number 1. In this episode, I will look at my weight loss journey, how I lost 70 pounds on a keto diet. Then I will look at some keto Q&A. I will answer these questions based on my experience with doing either the keto diet or the carnivore diet, which is a low carb, high fat diet. And then I will conclude with my weight loss journey, an update from last week. My name is Bob Griggs. Welcome to my YouTube channel. Be sure to follow me on Instagram at KetoBobGriggs. Also, subscribe to my newsletter. In the description below this video, there will be a link that will take you to our website, which is www.KetoBobGriggs.com. And be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. And also hit the bell notification to be notified when we go live again, which is each Thursday night at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. That also will be on the East Coast, would be 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. First, a few things that I want us to remember before we actually get started with the first part of the stream is if you are watching this live, be sure to leave any questions or comments in the chat. Also, let me know where you are watching from. I'd like to know the different places that may be watching. Also, do the very same thing if you are watching this on the replay. Leave it in the comment section below this video. Leave any questions, comments, and where you are watching from. The purpose of this live stream and the purpose for the YouTube channel itself is to be more of a support group for those of us that are doing a low carb, high fat diet. Either keto or carnivore. Carnivore is just a little bit more stricter form of keto where you only eat meat-based products. But it's also this channel is for us to all have a support group where we can share our experiences, what we're going through. And maybe one, either myself that has gone through it, I've been overweight all my life. I've dieted so many times, as I'm sure many of you have also the same experience. And if we can work together to help support each other, this is not to condemn anybody, to make fun of anybody. That's not what this channel is for. If you come in and start doing that, you will be blocked. So just remember, we want to be positive. You know, when we're on a diet, especially the ketogenic diet, you know, we're going to go through our ups and downs, and it's a lot easier to get through those down periods when we have a support group. And that's what this channel is all about. Now I want to the first thing I want to bring about this broadcast, this is the first time I'm using it, but this stream is powered by StreamYard. So if you are doing any live stream, please consider StreamYard. It's a browser-based streaming system. You don't have to download any particular program. You just do it from your browser. So please, if you're going to be doing any streaming in the future, consider StreamYard. Now let's go to the start of what we want to do. I want to tell my story of how I lost 70 pounds on the ketogenic diet. Now I want to show you a picture. We all, whenever we talk about our before and after, we have a picture. Here's mine. As you can see, on the left side is when I was probably at my highest weight. I would say this picture was took probably 7 or 8 years ago. I am an Atlanta Braves fan, a Major League Baseball fan. So me and my brother we usually go to Braves games when we get a chance. And we went to Atlanta, Georgia. And we took before the game, and we took a tour of the stadium, which then it was Turner Field. Now they've built a new stadium, which was SunTrust Park. Now it's called Truist Park. But this is a picture. We took a tour, and this is me sitting in the Braves dugout, and my brother took a picture of me. I'm guessing that I was somewhere between 280 pounds to 300 pounds. I don't know for sure, but that was probably my highest weight. Probably so. I know another time before then, I know I was at around 300. So I'm guessing I was somewhere between 280 and 300 pounds. My height is 5'5", so I was very overweight. And the picture on the right is a picture of me that I took this past Sunday. And with all this, I'd lost 70 pounds. Picture on the left, probably at 280. Picture on the right would be at 210. So this kind of gives you an idea of what my before and after looks like. Let me put a little different banner up that I want to use here. Let me just take that off there for right now. Now, as far as the ketogenic diet, I've lost 70 pounds, and I'm probably at the halfway point, and probably need to lose about 70 more pounds. But I've done, I think, a really good job. But to understand my weight loss journey, I want to go back to the beginning. When I was growing up, I was in elementary school, and I have always been overweight since starting school, basically. And as we all know, I was addicted to carbs. Didn't know it at the time. I was not very active, but I was overweight, and I'm sure if you were overweight as a kid, you were made fun of many times. So the story is, I was made fun of, and that it really can, if your confidence level in yourself can be very low when you're continually being made fun of, being laughed at, jokes being made against you. You kind of lose that self-confidence. And as I got older, it's just got worse and worse, and I became very shy, and it's still hard for me to this day. It's still a problem that I have to deal with. But I was overweight, being made fun of, low confidence, low self-esteem. And as I got older through elementary school, it just got worse. I would try to lose weight, but I didn't know how. And I didn't have anybody really as far as my age, to really talk to. I kept it all inside, which, as I now know, is not the best thing to do. But as I got older and as I got into starting junior high, continued being made fun of, no self-esteem, did not have confidence. I didn't want to speak up or anything like that, because I know if I do that, I'm going to be made more fun of. And that was true. But I wish I would have talked to somebody, and maybe things wouldn't have been as bad as I would be. And a lot of times when you are going through that, you use food as your comfort level. You would continually to eat. And of course, carbs was what I loved to eat. And as far as in other episodes, I'll kind of go into detail more. And I would try to lose, but but I just couldn't do it. Back then, that this would be. I'm now, my age is 54 right now, but I was in junior high, probably in the early 80s. And then in the early to mid 80s, it was just kind of getting going that to lose weight, you got to cut out all your fat. You got to go on a low fat diet. And that's what we would do. But, you would get some drinks, like Slim Fast or whatever was going in the day. I believe Slim Fast was one of the main ones. But basically, no, it didn't have any fat, but it had a ton of sugar. So, yeah, you can lose weight on any type of diet. If you cut your calories down low enough, you can lose weight, but you can't sustain it, because when you keep on pouring in sugar into your body every day, then there's a problem. You're craving sugar. You're always hungry. And that was the case for me. I could do it for a little while, but then I got to have I start back eating like I was, because I was so hungry. And that was the carbs. That was the carbs, because I was still feeding my body carbs, so I couldn't lose weight. The first really successful time in my life that I lost weight was when I was a senior in high school. One of my goals was, by the time I graduated, I wanted to get a good portion of my weight off before I graduated. And I succeeded, but I did it the wrong way. The diet that I mainly did was really cutting down my calories really low. Basically, what I ate for lunch, I would take a little bowl full of, it was actually put in a Tupperware little container, and it was some sliced carrots. And I remember eating at lunch, and some of the kids around, every time I pulled that out, they kind of smile. Of my real true friends, they really didn't say that much like that, but they kind of smile. But they could see that I was losing weight, and so I guess they were in their way of supporting me. And then I would eat, like for supper, I'd have maybe a hamburger patty or something like that. So I really wasn't getting enough nutrients. But I lost weight. I did pretty well, and I succeeded. By the time to graduate, I'd lost a good bit of weight. But after a while, you know, you're getting hungry and you just got to give in. And there's one thing about me that I can tell you this, that when I decide to lose weight, I'm good at it. I do a wonderful job and I'm good at it. But when I get off, I'm really good at putting it back on. Usually a whole lot quicker than I took it off. Maintaining is the hardest thing in the world for me because I will go back to my old habits. I will. That's what I would do. And that I've done that many, many times. And if you've dieted for many times in your life, you know what I'm talking about. Now, as the next probably most successful was probably in the early 2000s. And I did a good job with it. This is probably the first time I really did what we would call a low carb, high fat diet. And basically, what I would do, I would eat some barbecue chicken breast a couple of times a day. I did have some honey barbecue sauce that went with it. That was not what I should have done, but I was still successful. And then I would have some type of either a hamburger patty or some more chicken for supper. And that's what I did. Along with, I would walk a lot. On days that I could do it, that I had the time, I would walk 6 to 9 miles a day at our local high school track, every day. And another thing that I did, I drank a lot of water. I would drink about anywhere, it's probably about 6 to 8, either 16 or 20 ounce bottles of water every day. I would take them to work. But as you can imagine, drinking that much water and that, when I would go to lunch, I would maybe go and get me a barbecue chicken breast. There was one place that I would go just about every day. And then I would drink a lot of water, while I was eating that. I mean, there were times when I would drink probably close to, when the waitress comes out with a pitcher of tea or water, probably in sitting down and eating, I probably drank just about a pitcher of water. So I drank a lot of water. Now, drinking water is good, but I overdid it. Yeah, it helped me lose weight, but it also presented a problem down the line in my life where when you drink water, when you have to relieve yourself and get rid of the water that your body doesn't need anymore, electrolytes is going to go with the water also when it leaves your body. So over time, I did become deficient in magnesium and potassium. Not much so much on sodium, but especially potassium and magnesium I dealt with down the road. And I believe this was the reason why. I would gulp my water down in just a short period of time. And that was a problem. But overall, in what I do, I think I did a pretty good job. But I do. I think I did a pretty good job. I probably should have cut back on the water. But after time, when I got my weight off, where, where I want to be now. I got it off, but I made the mistake, as I think most dieters do. When you do get to where you want to be, you kind of say, well, I need to maintain my weight. So to maintain my weight, I need to have some more carbs. So I kind of eased it back in. And then, but over time, I kind of add some more. And then all of a sudden, well, time to have maybe some desserts. I can do that just this one time. So I do that. But see what that does? It gets all that sugar in your system. Then your body starts craving carbohydrates, sugar, those desserts, those cookies, and all that. And all of a sudden, you start gaining weight. And then when you kind of start gaining, you kind of stop weighing yourself, kind of see where you're at. And that was my problem. Then all of a sudden, the weight's back where it was to start with. And that's what happened then. And then I think I tried it, another time, and I was successful. And then I went back, did the very, very same thing. But in July of 2019, I went to the doctor. And of course, I'm on high blood pressure medicine, high cholesterol medicine, acid reflux medicine. On the acid reflux, I was taking way more than I really needed to be taking. And I think it done some damage to me. And I think when you take a lot of acid reflux medication, you can become deficient in magnesium, which turned out to be true. But I went to the doctor. Of course, I was overweight. I was at around 280 pounds. Taking a lot of blood pressure medicine. But I got my blood work back, and he said, well, you're pre-diabetic. A1C was around 6.1, 6.2. So he told me, I'm thankful that my doctor asked me, if I'd lost weight before, and if I did, what did I do? And I told him, well, I did more of a low carb, high fat diet. So he said, I want you to cut out a lot of your carbs, cut out sweets, sugar, and don't eat starchy vegetables. Just use non-starchy vegetables to try to get your carb intake to under 100 grams a day. So that's what I did. I mean, I've done it before, but I did more research, what I needed to do, and I started out more of just a low carb, high fat, kind of get my body adjusted, because that first week or two can be really tough because your body is getting adjusted. And then I started lowering my carbs even more. And I would get probably to about most days 20 total carbs or less for most days. Occasionally I may have more. And I started losing weight, feeling good. I got my body, doing the transfer from burning carbs to burning the fat that's on my bodies. And I was full of inflammation. I mean, in my stomach area, I had so much inflammation. And I can remember back a few years ago, I had a lot of what you would call gas bubbles inside my body, because I went to the emergency room and I was having this striking pain all throughout in my stomach, but it would move around. And I thought it was something dealing with my heart. So they checked it out and took x-rays and everything. And there's nothing wrong with my heart. It was gas bubbles that were moving around. And that when I would get a shooting pain, it was basically the gas bubbles pressing against my organs. And that's where the pain is coming. Since going on I would still have it. It would move around. I would get it more in my back. And since the more I've been on the ketogenic diet or the carnivore diet, that is slowly going away. I probably had so many gas bubbles, good size, that it's taken a lot of time to relieve all that. I can remember going to the doctor, and my nurse practitioner, she said she wished she could do something about it, but it's just going to take time, and she was right. So as I'm continuing the ketogenic diet, and some days I even go pretty close to a carnivore diet. And to be honest, with the way my body is, because bloating was a really big issue. I have a hard time digesting a lot of vegetables, especially broccoli, kale. Those are just some of the spinach. I would just bloat and bloat and bloat. Fruit the same way, and so a lot of days I would just cut out and I'll just eat maybe some hamburger patties or steak, ribeye steak on keto or carnivore. That's probably the best nutritional of the meats that you're going to find, and that's going to be good for you. And that's what I did. But I had a major breakdown when the pandemic hit, as we all know if you're watching this live, where you could not, when that hit, after a little while, you go to the grocery store, and what I basically would eat would be hamburger patties and steak, and you go to the grocery store and there wasn't any. You could not find one single hamburger patty, one single piece of a raw steak that you could buy. You go, if you were able, and of course, at first you couldn't go to a restaurant to sit down, but on some places you could order for takeout, and a lot of them they were taking steaks off menu because they couldn't get it, and if you could get it, it was so sky high. Just for one little steak, I mean, you were paying $15, $20 just for one. Now, if you got a pack, which if you would go, you'd get all you could get because you pretty much knew you weren't going to be able to get it. But that's what happened. And see, I had gotten my weight off. I didn't tell you, but I got my A1C down to 5.7, which is right at the borderline. I was doing great. My doctor was able to take me off of some of my high blood pressure medicine. He was able to cut back on my acid reflux medicine, and I was doing so well. But because I didn't have what I normally ate, I kind of got back to my old habit again and started eating more carbs, quit weighing myself. I was recording in the journal what I ate, checking my blood sugar, was doing really well. But I kind of got off of it. I quit weighing myself. I quit putting it all down, quit checking my blood sugar. And I had to go back. I put off going back to the doctor, but I finally, to get my medicine, I had to go for him to go ahead and where I can get my refills on the medication that I was taking. Now, so I started back, was able to get hamburger, steaks again. So I went back. And as far as what we would call the keto flu, I didn't get it because my body had already adjusted. It hadn't been that long. I didn't gain it completely back, but I got back started, and that I've been doing it ever since uh, that time. And I've lost 70 pounds. I've got my A1C back down to 5.7 again. I will be going back to the doctor in about in May, early May, and hopefully my A1C will be coming down soon. So I'm hoping by then, hopefully, to be somewhere. I'd like to be at 180, 190, somewhere in that. Still will need to lose a little bit more, but it's a journey. And as if you've gone through it, you know exactly what I'm talking about. So that's what I do. As far as in my eating, I was doing for a while 2 meals a day, like at lunch and at supper time. But now I seem to do better. My blood sugar level seems to do better when I do just 1 meal a day. If it wasn't for the blood sugar, 2 meals would be fine. And what I would do, I'll do intermittent fasting. That's basically I just, after my meal for the day, I fast until the next time at lunch. If you do 2 meals a day, you have about an 8-hour period where you eat and about a 16-hour period where you're fasting. And all the intermittent fasting is, when you look at the word breakfast, all you are doing is breaking your fast from the last time you ate, and then you went to bed and you slept, and then you woke up and then you broke your fast. That's all it is. I just do 1 meal a day where I eat 1 hour and then I fast for 23. In case sometimes I will have a little keto snack. I don't use keto snacks a whole lot. I find out the more carbs that I eat, and keto snacks does have carbs. When you see it on the package, net carbs 5 grams, but total carbs may be something else. And what they do, they just take off the grams of carbs that are fiber, which it's not supposed to raise blood sugar. Usually it doesn't. But it kind of goes through you. It's not digested. And then some of your artificial sweeteners, they take that off too. They may not raise your blood sugar, but they may raise your insulin. So that if you're diabetic, that's something you got to watch out. And some artificial sweeteners can make you bloat. So if you have bloating issues, and you are consuming those snacks with artificial sweetener, you might want to be careful. You might not want to do those as much. Just a word of advice for you. So that's the story of my weight loss journey in a little short bit of time. I could go in more detail, and I may talk about different things in other episodes. Now, I do want to next look at some keto questions and answers, and some questions that I kind of thought of, and then I participate on Reddit. And what I want to look at today is just some questions that I found a few days ago, and I thought I kind of give you my sense worth, from my experience, what I think. You might consider that. If you may disagree, and that's fine. You got to realize that each person's body is different. We respond to carbs in different ways. For me, see, I was pre-diabetic, so I have to go a whole lot lower than maybe somebody that really doesn't have a weight issue. They're just eating a lot better, maybe other issues, like inflammation. I can tell, especially in my hands. I would ache, especially at night. I would ache, and once I lower my inflammation, it's done wonders. So this is just my point of view. You can think about it. If you have another point of view, please leave a comment in the chat or in the comment section below the video. Please, I would love to have your take on how you would answer these questions. The first one that we want to look at, the person writes, I have IBS, that's irritable bowel syndrome, and I've noticed my symptoms have 95% or so disappeared, and my bathroom trips are way normal. I started keto to help with IBS, and prior I was removing anything that contains gluten. Still did not do much. But when I removed all carbs except small amounts acceptable in keto, it did the trick. My question, is there a set number of calories I need to eat per day? As I am not really looking to lose weight, it's more to help with the issues I have with IBS. Great question. Great question. I don't believe I have irritable bowel syndrome. If I do, it's a real slight case. But I know early on I was, I had issues. I had issues with, going to the bathroom. I mean, I believe throughout in growing up, elementary, high school, even college, I had issues. I mean, I either had diarrhea or I was constipated, I believe, all my life. And that's a problem. And for a while, early, probably before, I don't know, maybe 15 years ago, I kind of dealt with, well, is it gluten? Of course, whenever I would do the low carb, high fat diet, I got better. As far as gluten, I pretty much, because I don't eat bread. Very once in a blue moon when I'm go and get some fried catfish and fried shrimp at a seafood place, I might have maybe one hush puppy. That's probably the extent of the bread that I have. But I pretty much have cut out gluten, and that helps tremendously. But, as the writer of the question, when he went to us taking out the gluten, that will help, but that's not going to completely do it, I believe, until you really do the ketogenic or carnivore diet. I think you will be healed of IBS if you will do that, if you will cut that out. And there's one thing about when you're talking about irritable bowel syndrome, IBS, or anything dealing with the bowels, they say, eat fiber. Fiber is your friend. Well, if you've got IBS, if you've got problems dealing with that issue, fiber is not your friend. In my opinion, of course, I'm not a doctor or a dietitian. This is just my opinion from the experiences that I have. If be sure, and whatever you do, if you've got problems, be sure to consult your doctor or your dietitian. Work with them. If you have, I know we're not talking about diabetes, but if you're diabetic and doing the keto diet, especially if you are type 2 or type 1. Type 1 is your body does not produce any insulin at all. So you have to take insulin. So especially if you're type 1, be sure to let your doctor know what you're doing. You may not want to say you're doing a keto diet, but just tell your doctor, I'm cutting down on my carbs today. Just tell them that, and then you should be okay. If you're type 2 and if you are at the stage where you are taking insulin or insulin medicine, be sure to work with your doctor to let them know that you're not eating as many carbs, and they may have to adjust your insulin or your medication. The goal is to get off that, but it'll take time. And you may be in a situation where you've been type 2 for a long time. You may not be able to completely get off of it, but it's a goal. But as we're talking about IBS, don't eat fiber. Foods that have fiber is not going to help you. When I do carnivore, that's when I have the best bowel movement, just to be honest with you. At first, you will have some diarrhea because your body was used to all that fiber, was used to all the carbs. So you got to give your body enough time to adjust, to be able to digest the probably more protein and more fat. Now, you may say, do I need to eat a lot of fat? It's a high fat diet. Yes. But when you are overweight, when you've got a lot of fat on your body, you need to realize that you don't have to eat all that fat at first. You've got to give your body time to adjust. You got to give your gallbladder a time to adjust, because your gallbladder has not used to all that fat. So you got to go slow at first. But remember, if you're way overweight like I was probably close to 140, 150 pounds overweight. I got a lot of fat. So to lose that fat, I'll eat enough fat to satisfy me where I'm not hungry. To crave is to not have any cravings to eat, for sugar. You've got to cut the carbs as low as you can. Eat enough fat to satisfy you. Your nutrients comes from your protein. Remember that. Get it from your steak, your ribeyes, hamburger patties with. I would go at least where it's 20% fat and 80% lean. I go, you're 80-20. Don't get the 90-10. You need the 80-20, and if you can get 75-25, get that, but that's hard to find in grocery stores. Go that way. And then you'll be able to burn the fat off your body more quickly. When you first start the ketogenic diet, a lot of it's going to be water weight. And we'll talk about that probably later on, either in this episode and other episodes. But the question, look at it again. Question is there a set number of calories I need to eat per day just to maintain my weight in dealing with IBS? The answer that there's really not. It's something that everybody's, like I said, everybody's body is different. Everybody's body, there's a certain amount of calories to maintain. It depends on how active you are. Do you lift weights, or have you got a lot of muscle on your body? Your muscle needs calories. It needs protein. The more muscles you have, the more protein that you need to eat to maintain. So all you need to do is to experiment. You don't want, if you need to add more calories, you don't want to be the calories from carbs. You need either to add more fat, and since you don't need to lose weight, I would say you need to either add more fat and add some more protein. And you're just going to have to experiment with your body. Once you start doing that, you'll know how many calories that you need. Some people say that, when you're on the ketogenic diet or the carnivore diet, you need as many calories as you want. And I know the one person that said that, for him, that's probably true because he was really muscular. When you've got a lot of muscle on your body, he's right. He's right. But if you like me, which I don't have a lot of muscle, I've never been muscular in all my life. So my calorie intake is a way lot lower than what his would be. But if I had more muscle on me, then the more muscle you have, the more calories you need. And whatever your height is, he was a lot. So I'm 5'5". He was probably 6'1", 6'2", or maybe even taller than that. So that's something that you have to keep in mind. Everybody's body is different, and you just have to see what works best for your body. Okay, let's look at the next question. It is, at the moment, I'm consuming a lot of protein powder, and my total per day is usually around 20 grams. I believe that's carbs. Let me take that logo off. Yeah. My total carbs per day is usually around 20 grams. If I were to switch to a zero low carb protein powder, I could cut my daily carb consumed to 6 or lower. Is there any benefit in going from 20 carbs today to 6 or less, or even 0? That's a good question. But the question that I have that's more concerning to me is he's getting his protein, looks like, basically from protein powder. And I used to do that. And it works as far as for me losing weight and all. But I developed a problem. And that is I would become sensitive to a lot of your protein powders have a lot of milk powder basically in them. And I really got lactose intolerant because of that. I can remember I bought at a store, I think it was either Walmart or then Kmart. I went to do it, and this girl was trying, surprisingly, she trying to talk me out of getting it, and told me it wasn't good for me and all that. And I'm sure, it was good, but I think because I was using it so much, over time, I became lactose intolerant. So now, the only type of milk products that I can handle is, some hard aged cheese. I can have some, but the softer the cheese, the worse I will get. I remember about a year ago, I fixed some spinach dip, which would have some cream cheese in it. And I put a good bit in there, and I had a good bit of it. And boy, my gut let me know it wasn't for me. So, but with that's the one you have to really be careful. I think you would do better if you would actually eat your protein, have you some steak, have you some hamburger patties, even some chicken, fish, eggs, you know, that's what I would do. I think that may be one of the problems as far as, you know, wanting to lose more weight, if cut from 20 down to about nothing of carbs. I mean, that's fine. That's fine. Uh, Probably, I'm guessing you're probably more of a athletic, muscular type person. It's just my guess. I could be wrong, but I would try to get my protein and everything from. I know those that are bodybuild that really, work out hard and build a lot of muscle. That I know they use protein powder, but I think over time, if you're not careful, and especially, you may go with more plant-based protein powder, and I don't believe you're going to get the all the nutrients that you need unless you actually get it from meat and eggs. Uh, so as far as it probably not going to make a difference. Depends on how. I would say if you have a blood sugar issue, if you're pre-diabetic or diabetic, then yes, maybe lowering the carbs more will help you as far as your blood sugar levels. But as far as losing weight, it's probably not going to be. That's not that much. If you're talking about total carbs, if you're talking about net carbs, getting it down, yes. Uh, but that's my opinion. What I would be more concerned is if you're consuming all your proteins from protein powder, I would go another route. If you're going to have some protein powder, but I think the majority of where you get your protein needs to be from actually meat and eggs. Okay, let's go to question number 3. Should you be counting calories in addition to macros when starting keto? I've heard lots of conflicting things about calorie counting while on keto, especially how detrimental it can be when starting out. I'm only a few days in, and I'm eating about 2,400 to 2,800 calories a day and hitting my macros, maybe going slightly over in protein and fat. Curious about what you did when you started out and how it worked out for you. Good question. But as I said earlier about the calories, everybody's different. And from as many calories as you're probably eating, I would say you're probably a little more muscular. For me, that's way too many calories for me because I don't have a lot of muscle on my body. I've got some, but, and of course I'm 5'5", so I'm probably not going to need, that much. As far if it was me, I would say that's too many calories. And depends on how your energy, how much energy you use throughout the day. If you use a lot, then that may be, if you're trying to lose weight, I do think restricting some calories you will have to do in order to lose weight. And maintaining weight is a different question. But in losing weight, you may want to cut back a little bit if you're not losing weight, cut back a little bit on the fat, because if you're trying to lose weight, you're trying to also lose the fat that's on your body also. You want, as I said earlier, you want to eat enough fat to satisfy you where you're not hungry. Get your nutrients from your protein and eat very few carbs, non-starchy vegetables that you're able to tolerate. Some people, like myself, there's not many vegetables that I can deal with on a daily basis. Occasionally I can get by with it if I cook it a certain way. So, see, that's the next question. I mean, I just want to make sure I answer this question, everything. Yeah, when I started out, I'm not really worried. I'm more worried about cutting the carbs, eating enough fat to satisfy me, and then getting enough protein for my nutrients. That's more important than your calories. If you're still not losing the weight, cut back a little bit on your fat intake so your body can burn it off your body itself. So that's what I do. For me, that the calories is for me. It would be more than I would eat. But you have to experiment, cut back some, and see if that helps you any. I hope that answers your question. Now the next question that I have. Every morning I start out with a smoothie. I have 2 cups of spinach, 3 cups of kale, 2 cups of berries, 28 almonds, 30 grams of walnuts, and 1 tablespoon of chia. That'd be chia seeds. I'm in ketosis with this using urine test strips day 5 in. So he's been doing it for 5 days. The problem is I have no hunger rest of the day. I wonder why. I will have tuna for lunch, chicken with broccoli, and cauliflower for dinner. I'm only hitting 900 to 1200 calories a day. I'm 38 at 299 pounds. I do count my carbs, and I'm around 22 to 25 net carbs a day. Just never hungry. Should I add some MCT oil to my coffee to get more calories? I feel wonderful, more energy than I have had in months. That's a good question. I'll tell you what I think about smoothies. And this is just my opinion. I've done them, but I don't like to get my carbs, which there's carbs that you put in. You put in a lot of stuff. I could not drink that drink because of my gut issues. I would be bloated like everything. From the spinach, from the kale. I wouldn't be able to digest that. And all those nuts, in my opinion, that's way too many nuts. Chia seeds, I would stay away from. I know maybe you're looking at fiber and all that you need fiber. That's a matter of opinion. But you're never hungry, which that's good. If you're not hungry, you don't need any more fat. The MCT, the one thing I think a problem that you would encounter if you do add the MCT oil, if you do it, start out real slowly. So one drawback in MCT oil it will make you have diarrhea. Your body's got to be adjusted to it. So keep that in mind. Keep that in mind. As far as right now, I would say no to the MCT oil. I would try, let me look back at it, see what you're actually eating again. Tuna for lunch, that's fine. Chicken, broccoli, and that's fine if you can digest it. Like I said, I have a problem with digesting, especially broccoli. Cauliflower, if it's in a rice form type, I can I'm usually all right with it. But broccoli, and then you put spinach and you put kale. 2 cups of berries, that's in my opinion, I'm assuming not strawberries, some 2 cups, that's way too many. You're looking at net carbs. I would try to cut back. I'm curious what the total carbs, not net carbs, but the total carbs that you are having. I'm curious if you're losing weight. You know, uh, I don't know how your height is if you're trying to lose weight, which I'm assuming you are. If you're trying to lose weight, I would start getting your protein from your meat. Like I said, meat and eggs. I would I would do away with the smoothie. That's just my opinion. You take it for what it's worth, you know. And since you're just in, you're not hungry, that's good. If you're not hungry, you don't need any more fat. Uh, and really, in looking at what you're saying you're never hungry. You know, to me, you're not eating a lot of your fat basically is coming from your walnuts. Oh, 28. Oh, you both say. Yeah, that you're getting your protein from your almonds and your walnuts. And spinach has got a little bit, but of course you got your tuna and your chicken. That's basically where you get those are getting your protein. If I were you, I would I would do away with the smoothie. If you're going to have a few nuts, if you can tolerate it, I would just eat them. You know, I've learned I do better when I don't drink it. Don't drink your protein. I think it's I think you'll end up doing a lot better. I mean, I've had, smoothies like this, and I just would have issues. You can go ahead with it, but you're in say you're in ketosis, which is good, because I mean, you're not having that many carbs. And it just kind of depends on how your body is. For me, you know, I do better when I'm at 50 or less total carbs, and that's net carbs. So I'm just curious what your total carbs are. I don't really think you need to add any more fat since all the nuts you're eating. I really don't. I really don't think you need any more fat, especially if you're trying to lose weight. But that's just my opinion. And you might give it a try. Eat more meat, eat more eggs. I'd do away with the smoothie. That's just my opinion. Try it for a couple of weeks and see which results you like better. That's what I would suggest. The next question I want to look at says, I am 5'1", 142-pound female with an athletikish build. I work out 4 times per week. I would like to lose 15 to 20 pounds. I have not lost a pound since starting over a month ago. I was pretty high on my daily fat intake as I was getting used to this way of life. I set my macros on Carb Manager and the high protein keto. They are 15 net carbs, 106 protein, and 80 grams of fat, which comes out to 1,207 calories. I understand fat is the liver. You do not need to eat it all. I definitely have some fat to burn. My question is, how low can or should I be below that fat macro to burn my own fat? Should I try not to use all of my daily fat grams in order to lose my own fat? That's a good question. And that's where you have to, like I said before, when you have fat to lose, you don't have to intake all that fat. I think a lot of times we look at our macros and we try to get them right exactly perfect. But you got to realize everybody's body is different, as I try to point that out. You've got to find out what works for your own body. And if you can do that, you will have success. One thing to consider, you're starting out with the keto diet, your body needs time to adjust. Maybe before you weren't getting the nutrients that you're needing, and the body needs that. And your body is trying to get better with those nutrients. And you may not lose weight at first. There's some that I've heard that it may take a month or two before they start losing the weight that they need. It's because your body needs to heal as your body is getting nutrients that they need that they may not have had earlier. Keep that in mind. Let your body heal. And then once it starts healing, and I about guarantee you the weight will come off. Don't get so bogged down on your macros. If you're not losing the weight, I would say, the protein looks good. You need that protein. I would cut back some maybe on the fat and see how you do. You may be, let me look at that again as far as your carb intake. 15 net carbs, that looks good. So I don't think it's the carb intake. You might check and see what your total carbs. Just make sure your total carbs are at least below 100. I'd probably say below 50. And if you have blood sugar issues, you may need to go maybe a little lower on your total carbs. But 15 net carbs don't look that bad. But if you have blood sugar issues, you might want to cut back just a little bit more on your carbs. But other than that, you could cut back on your fat a little bit and see if you start losing some. But give it some time. A lot of times when we start a low carb, high fat diet, keto diet, or even a little more extreme, the carnivore diet, a lot of times we won't, you got to realize when we first start out, most of the weight that we lose that first 2 weeks is basically water. Remember that. Fat will take some time. It may just be 1 pound. There's some weeks that I don't lose any. And I might even gain a pound. But usually in a few days it gets right back. Your body adjusts to what your body needs at that given point of time. So you've got to be patient. You got to remember you're in this journey for the long haul. It's, we call it a diet, but really it's a journey. It's a lifestyle, and we got to be patient. Be patient. Take it a day at a time, a week at a time. If you weigh yourself daily, which I do because I like to kind of see when I eat certain foods, what it does for my weight. I check other things as well, how my blood sugar is, how my ketone levels are. The reason I check ketones, I pretty much know because as low carb as I go, I know I'm going to be in ketosis. It's just how much. And it's curious to see, when certain foods that I eat, how it affects. And I encourage you when you do take your blood sugar, your ketones, to do it at the same time each day. If you measure it daily, I suggest you do it in the morning. Try to do it at the same time, before you eat. You want to be in a fasting state. And that gives you a really true reading. Because when you eat something, your sugar's going to go up. Your ketones will probably go down some. So I've got one more question in our Q&A session. It says, I am a very simple eater. I just eat so I'm not hungry. That's a good way to go. I don't need variety. I can eat the same thing every day. So I was wondering if this meal would be okay, daily meal to eat every day. Breakfast, bacon and eggs, or just eggs. Dinner, pork chops, chicken breast with some cheese and asparagus. And for snacks, here and there, stuff like almonds, baby bells, cheese. The cheese being a block of marble cheese just sliced up. Once in a while, I replace the dinner with just shrimp and ribs. Is this a good meal plan for keto? And if not, what should I do or add? Again, I just want very simple stuff. I'm not a great cook and I just eat to not be hungry. That's a good question. And in looking at what you've got and what you're planning on doing or are doing, I think it looks wonderful. Probably, I know we have a tendency or a habit really of snacks. And really, when you're on a keto diet, and if your carbs and looking at what you're going to be eating, your carbs are great. It's basically non-starchy carbs. So your carb intake is very, very low. I mean, that's great. And you can probably do all right with the, like cheese, if your body's able to handle it. Some people they can't. But if it's all right, and if you're not gaining any weight, it looks fine. But just make sure when you eat that you are hungry. A lot of times we eat because it's time to eat. It's breakfast, it's lunch, it's dinner. And that looks like you're probably eating two meals. From the way it looked like you were eating 2 meals and then a snack, and which is fine. What, especially, you may not be having, because I have to watch my sugar. I kind of look at it from that point of view. The more you eat, the more your blood sugar is going to go up some. When your blood sugar goes up some, your insulin is going up some to bring down your sugar. And when your insulin stays high for long periods of time throughout the day, you're not able to lose weight. So that's something to consider if you're dealing with blood sugar issues. If you're not, what you're eating is fine. Just eat when you're hungry. When it comes snack time, if you're not hungry, you don't need it. And just do of course the cheese may give you a little bit more fat if that's what you're after. But if you're losing weight, what you're eating looks great. Just one thing when you're looking at the ribs, just make sure you don't get the real sweet barbecue sauce. I usually will just, I would want just the plain dry rub. And with the dry rub, you kind of have to be careful, but it's not as bad as especially if you're getting it at a restaurant. I'd either get that, if you do get a sauce at a restaurant, if they serve chicken wings buffalo wings, I'm sure they're going to have a buffalo sauce. Buffalo sauce would probably be better than like a honey barbecue sauce, but most buffalo sauce, you have about 1 gram of carb for a tablespoon. Kind of need to watch what you get, or you can buy some sugar-free stuff. Uh, there's some good ones out there. They do use some artificial sweeteners. If you have digestive issues, some artificial sweeteners, like I said before, can affect you. So you just kind of have to see what works best for you. But what you showed there looks great. I'm the same way. I can eat the same meal every day and it doesn't bother me. For some people, there needs to be a variety. And to a point, you do need a little variety because when we look at, especially dealing with nutrients, we need to make sure we're getting all the nutrients that we have. And sometimes we have to, for me, I eat basically steak, hamburger patties, chicken wings, ribs. Occasionally I'll have some beef liver because beef liver has really, as you call, for everything that you get in the small package, liver has a lot more nutrients. Don't need it every day. You don't need it every day, but just once in a while, you get it. That's a good. Beef liver does have a little bit more as far as vitamin C in it. Your beef has some vitamin C. Doing a keto or carnivore, you don't need as much vitamin C as if we were really carb loaded American standard diet would be. So keep that in mind. But I think that what you're doing is great. That's a good meal. And if you're losing weight, that's good. If you're having trouble losing weight, maybe cut back on your snacks a little bit, But other than that, it looks great. So these are 6 keto questions. Now the last part, which this won't take very long, but the last part that I want to look at is just a little small update from last week in my keto journey. And I fixed a little slide here. That's where you can see it. This is my keto carnivore journey. I'm probably closer to carnivore, kind of in between what we would call ketovore or carnivore keto, whatever you want to call it. The vegetables that I basically eat, I'll have like a Caesar salad with no croutons. I'll add extra Caesar dressing. Either I'll get Caesar, or if I get just a regular side salad, I'll get like a blue cheese dressing or a good fatty ranch dressing. Just make sure it's not low fat. So any low fat dressing is going to have a lot of either sugar or corn syrup. So be careful on that. But this is from last week, January 31st through February the 6th. My weight loss for last week was 1 pound. My total weight loss this journey, as I said, I've lost 70 pounds and now I've gotten to 71 pounds as of at the end of last week. My best fasting blood sugar last week was 88, which I was proud of that. I like to be in the 80s or low to mid 90s. My best fasting ketones was 2.8. Keep in mind that I do eat a lower carb count. And I do have still, even though I've lost 71 pounds, I need to lose about 70 more. I'd like somewhere around 70 more pounds. So I still got some fat on me to lose. So I'm burning a lot of fat off my body. So when you're doing that, you're producing more ketones. If you don't have a lot of fat to lose, your ketone levels are probably going to be lower than what I have. So, but that was 2.8 was my best fasting ketones was when I take it in the morning. Do you need to take your ketones? You don't have to. I just do it like I said to just kind of keep a record when it goes up, when it goes down, and try to find out why. So, and that helps me to know what to eat throughout the week. Like I said here, I had a great week. Good blood sugar and good blood ketones. So I said I lost 1 pound and I ended the week doing a 48-hour fast. In talking about doing a fast, in starting out keto, I don't recommend doing a fast. I probably would recommend starting out doing three meals a day. Just work on reducing your carbs. And that's what you need to do. And as your body gets used to it. And one of the reasons I do like a 48-hour fast, see, the way I eat now is I'm more of a 1 meal a day. Like I said earlier, 1 meal a day. So I'm already fasting 23 hours. So all that is just one more day. So it's not as bad because I don't get hungry, except basically at lunchtime. That's really when I get hungry. And then I eat. And as long as my carb intake is lower, if there's once in the blue moon, like I said, I'll go to a catfish place and have, like I said, some fried catfish, fried shrimp. I'll eat that. It's probably not the best, but I'll do it once in a while. My carb will be from the breading would be a little bit more. It's still, as long as I don't have a baked potato or French fries, occasionally I might do a baked potato, and it's not going to bother my blood sugar one time, but if you do it on a daily basis, it will. So keep that in mind if you're dealing with blood sugar. But that's what I do. So that's why I fast. Usually, I kind of look at my numbers, and if my, especially toward the end of the week, if my fasting blood sugar start getting in the mid to upper 90s, I will like to do that 48-hour fast. Usually do it on the weekend, but you can do it anytime. That's just easier for me. But that's looking at my journey, how I lost 70 pounds doing a keto, carnivore, ketogenic, low carb, high fat diet. And we've answered some keto questions and answers. We'll look at some more next week. And I've looked at what my numbers were for last week. We'll say this as we get to the close of this episode number 1. Looking forward to next week at the same time, Thursday at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. That's Thursday night. We're looking for, if there's questions that you would like for me to go over, please, and if you want to watch this on the replay, go and put your questions or your comments, things you would like for me to discuss in future episodes, your story, your progress. I want to hear from you. I want you to follow me on social media. I have this YouTube channel. I also have a website. It's a new website. In a little bit, I will give you the address. That right as we're about to close, I'll have a slide that'll pop up that'll show you all my social media. And I have an Instagram. I started my Instagram a while back, but I kind of wanted to get it going. And each day I post daily on my Instagram. What I do, I show what my blood sugar, my ketone readings every morning. And then I'll show, since I eat a 1 meal a day diet for the most part, I will show what I eat. I take a picture of it. You can see what I eat. Most days, some days it's a keto. Some days are carnivore. And some days I just do a low carb, high fat, especially like when I have my catfish and shrimp. And I don't do that every week. And I go out a good bit. I usually eat out, and sometimes I'll cook. I'll cook a steak in my air fryer. But I will show that, and when I fast, I will show that too. And I usually do a update, usually on Sunday evenings. I will give an update of my progress from the past week. And I hope maybe eventually on the channel to do a separate. I don't know if it'll be live, but at least a separate video, maybe go in more detail of my week when I do the update. But that's pretty much the show. This is the first episode. If you like this type of live show, or you're watching it on a replay, if you know somebody that needs it, maybe know somebody that's process of losing weight, maybe they've been diagnosed with either pre-diabetes or type 2 diabetes, and show them that keto works. When you lower your carbs, you can beat diabetes. You really can. There's so many that have done it. And share it out to them. Let them know. Follow me on Instagram. If you got any questions you'd like me to do, you don't have to do it here on our YouTube channel. Just go to my Instagram and leave me a comment. Tell them you saw our live show and you've got some questions that you'd like for me to cover. I would be more than happy. I want this, as I said, not to be just about me. I want it to be about my viewers. I want this to be a place you can come and we can support each other in living a low carb, high fat diet lifestyle. Whether we're just doing that or we're doing keto, where we are, burning ketones, or whether we are doing carnivore, where we're just eating meat and meat products. We're all in it together. And that's what I want this channel to be about. Until next time, here are those links before I forget you. You can follow me on Instagram at KetoBobGriggs. Check out my website at KetoBobGriggs.com, and of course on YouTube to search KetoBobGriggs. And also subscribe to my newsletter. I'm going to be starting that pretty soon. All I ask is for your email address, and what you'll get is different things, my thoughts about the ketogenic diet, the carnivore diet, the low carb, high fat diet. Probably tell you a little bit about what the next episode of our live show will be about. I'll give you maybe some products you might want to consider. I'll give you links where you can go straight to them. And that's basically what the newsletter will be. If there's more you would like for me to include in that newsletter, that will be great. I appreciate any comments. If you will ever like to appear on the live show, just get in contact with me. either on my Instagram or on our YouTube, one of the videos. Leave a comment. All I would need, I will need your email address to invite you on. So, thank you for watching. Be sure to check out next week, as I said, on Thursday night at 7 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time. That's 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Thank you for watching. And until next week, have a great evening.